The next part of the appraisal will be the waist circumference. Once we've taken the weight and the height, we can calculate the body mass index. However, that doesn't take into account the distribution of fat on the person's body, and so waist circumference becomes very key so that we don't think somebody's maybe less healthy than they are, or maybe we think they're not at risk when they may actually be. To do this procedure, once again, this is probably the most invasive procedure of the entire appraisal. People tend to be less comfortable when you're looking at weight or body fat distribution, as well as when you're going to be in this kind of proximity compared to the other tests. So you'll want to make sure you ask your client permission on everything you're going to be doing ahead of time, and let them know that if at any point they feel uncomfortable, this part of the test could be terminated. So I've already let Clarissa know that I'll be palpating her iliac crest on both hips. I'll be using a marker to make a line on the superior border of that iliac crest so I know where to use my measuring tape, and that I'll be measuring her waist circumference while her shirt is lifted to about just above the belly button line, not too much higher than that. So she's given that consent, and so we're ready to go. And so for the iliac crest, what you might want to do, depending if you're having a hard time finding it, is you can feel the suprailiac process a bit further down the hip and work your way up. All right? So once you've found that upper border of the iliac crest, you can use a marker. You don't want to use anything permanent, obviously. Here I've just got a typical dry erase marker. I've palpated all my way up. And you might find some people are quite ticklish, so this could get a little tricky as well. And I would just make a slight notch to let me know where the superior border is of the iliac crest. I'll also do the same thing on the other side. Start with the suprailiac, palpate my way up, find the superior border, and make a little mark, nothing too drastic, and now I know where my landmarks are for the rest of the test. With the shirt still raised, I can then grab my measuring tape. Once again, being a Canadian organization, CSIP only recognizes the metric system, so we're going to be measuring in centimeters, not inches. A lot of students make that mistake because most of our pant sizes are measured in inches, so please make sure you're using the centimeter side. The other thing you'll want to note with this measuring tape is there's this plastic piece at the end. That is not the 0 mark, so please make sure when you're lining up your measuring tape, you look at the 0 notch on the measuring tape and don't use that plastic piece because you'll be off by a couple of centimeters as well, and it could change the reading or the classification of your client. So with that being said, I'm going to instruct Clarissa to just relax. She's in a good position right now. When I'm actually taking the measurement, I don't want her sucking in. I don't want her breathing out. Just tell her to breathe normally, and you'll actually take the reading after a regular expiration. So now that I've got the iliac crest, the superior border of the iliac crest landmarked on both sides, I'm ready to begin. One of the ways that I prefer to do this is by actually reaching over my client and lining up the far side to begin with. So I'll find that landmark and make sure the tape rests on the superior border of that landmark. And now I don't need to worry about it because I'm keeping proper tension. So I'm going to wrap my measuring tape around and line it up on the other mark. And I'm using what's called the cross-handed technique. So notice how my left hand is crossing over my right hand. I'm not letting go of the measuring tape and readjusting. That allows me to have my tape pretty much straight and maintain proper tension throughout the entire procedure of the test. And so once I'm at this point, I can then crouch down, or you can stand up however you feel, but you can get an accurate reading of your measurement. Notice I'm not squeezing too tight, denting her skin. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for just enough tension so the tape doesn't dip. And I don't want Clarissa to suck in or to stick out. I just want her to breathe normally, and I would take the measurement after a regular expiration and then take my reading. Once again, making sure your reading is in centimeters and not inches.